So here we are on session 7, which is there are core stressors that can be so high and be so intense that it breaks couples up and it becomes non-negotiables. Like we just can't handle the stress. And there's nothing in our relationship that can function when our stress level like this is so high. So what are they? What are the stressors you have to watch out for? So here are the top stressors: finances and money. And that means having really different values, different money making capacities, um, more traditional models of a family or a relationship where one person makes the money, one person stays home, and sort of the inequity and resentment that might build from that. Another is relatives, extended family, in laws. And if there's not really clear boundaries around external forces outside the relationship, then it can topple the relationship over. And so that's really a call for boundaries and to make sure that that partner feels that they're protected and that they have appropriate, like, private time from the extended family, but also that that partner understands the importance of family to the person who wants their family around and negotiating how that can happen. So a lot of times I see couples spending time with their families without their partner because maybe there's such differences and maybe that partner turns into another person when they're with their family. And it's okay as long as you have rules and parameters around not making all your free time about either talking about the family or feeling really upset with the partner that they are actually seeing their family without you. So it's really important that when you make a decision, you stick to the boundaries of that decision and you don't ruminate about it, and rumination can destroy and cause too much stress in a relationship. Another big one is parent style differences in raising kids, and that can be stressful because not only are you having a second job of coming home if you're working to take care of your kids and to be a parent, to have another role in your life aside from spouse or worker, but it's also that there can be different parent styles. And many of my couples really talk a lot about their style differences, and sometimes these style differences aren't negotiable. But what I like is to have this a concept that's called united parenting, where people actually come together with one person's in charge, the other person backs that person up unless they feel like that person is being abusive or yelling or non-effective. They don't make that decision right in front of the kid. They might call out like, "Hey, do you want me to take over?" But you back up and then you talk about your differences of how you see things and how you do things outside of that time. This can be really tricky because sometimes people don't agree at all with what the parenting style is and they won't allow it. And so there's always this sort of like invalidating the other person in front of the kids, which is very difficult. So you want to make sure that you have conversations about parent style differences and how you're going to negotiate these differences in front of the kids. A super big stressor. The other, of course, is sex and physical intimacy. Either people have really different sexual drives or things happen like menopause and libido differences. And so there's always a setup of one person wanting sex and the other person not wanting sex. And this can create a lot of tension of how both needs can be met in a relationship, and it really requires having maybe a third party to talk about this with, because this can create a lot of tension, rejection, pressure in the relationship, something very, very important to talk about. The other is lifestyle differences and future goals. So a lot of times people have a lot of lifestyle differences. Some people want to travel and go on vacation. Other people want to stay home and just be doing very simple things and having a simpler life. Someone wants to have a big social life. The other person's an introvert, doesn't want that. So again, we can be very different people and still find ways to overlap, or our differences can be so grave that it's like we're just, after the lust is gone, we are just really basically two different people and we don't have a lot of overlap. And that's why the algorithms of dating sites have a lot of common interests and lifestyles in their algorithms, and that's what is one of the factors that makes a relationship easier. That doesn't mean that it's impossible to have relationships with people who are really different or opposite, because us humans love opposites. So we love to learn how other people do things way differently than us, but it's also a lot more work. So that's something to think about. If we come down to the end of the line and we feel like there are too many core differences, and there's a lot of work to work these things out, how different we think, maybe we're even generationally different, we're culturally different, that's a lot of work, a lot of processing, a lot of explanation that might have to a lot of coming together that might have to happen in a family. Again, not impossible, but you really have to be somebody that is very efficient and thorough around your communication with your partner. Otherwise, it might just feel too taxing. So these are all areas to look at when you're thinking about your discernment process. Like, what do I need to learn and understand and face in my relationship that might be causing all this stress? And this stress, if we don't address it, is going to be is apt to destroy us. Something very important to note.